Well, he's been waiting and he's angry. He's in Dallas. Ryan Divish with us. The winter meetings is underway, has been underway. His weekly appearance brought to you by Chalet Bowl, Washington's oldest operating bowling alley, proudly serving the community since 1941, located in Tacoma's historic Proctor District. Chalet Bowl, family owned and operated for 40 years. The Ryan Divish Show brought to you by Chalet Bowl, chaletbowl.com. Thank you, sir. I know you're working hard there in Dallas. How's it been? How much free food have you and the riders consumed?
We don't get free food here. They don't have any of a media spread. They have free diet soda, free sodas. That's about it. I don't know. And it's like being the healthy folks that we are. The DoorDash business in Dallas right now is off the hook, going like crazy. So,
all right, give us the latest buzz. What do you know? Give us something juicy.
About the Mariners?
Yes, please. The Mariners. Are we in the red zone yet?
No, I don't think so. No. And it's like just now the news broke that the White Sox are trading Garrett Crochet to the Red Sox for 4 prospects. So that kind of lessens the market on, places you can trade a pitcher. I mean, I think the Red Sox actually still go get another pitcher. They probably need to, but it was I didn't think that was going to happen right now, a trade for a starting pitcher, because they kind of have to wait to see what they're going to do with the rest of their roster and if they can get a free agent or if they can complete another trade. So it's been pretty quiet. I didn't expect there to be, just given how the market is, like who they're looking to sign and stuff, or who they're looking to acquire. As Jerry said, it's a pretty small window. Like they don't, they're balling on a budget, as the young kids say.
4 prospects. We've talked about this, right? This is why it has made so much sense to trade Luis Castillo. If they can get him to waive his no-trade clause. You see the contracts all these guys are signing for. Max Fried the other day, he's getting $212 million there for the Yankees. And now Garrett Crochet commands 4 prospects. I don't know. Maybe you have information on these guys. I don't know how highly regarded these guys are. I'm sure there's a couple of them that at least are. In order to pull off that trade. But this is what we've been talking about. He is your biggest trade piece because of the lack of starting pitching in baseball. And and for what he makes, he's a fucking bargain. Yeah,
it's pretty crazy. If you look at it, Luis Severino and Nathan Eovaldi signed for more money. Castillo's owed $22.75 each of the next 3 years. There's an option and kind of a weird vesting option in that too, where you get another year. But Fried gets $218 million. Eovaldi gets 75 over 3. Severino gets 70 over 3. It's and then don't forget about Blake Snell. What did he get? A couple $100 million. So it's like you look around, and the Mariners do have a surplus, and they have a supply that is in demand. And so the one thing is what they're looking for in return isn't, always out there. Cause like the White Sox, it was easy for the White Sox to make that deal. Everybody knew they're going to make that deal at some point to trade Garrett Crochet. They're looking for prospects so they can get a quantity over like a major league player. The Mariners need major league hitters. They need major league help. And that's the needle they're trying to thread. And there just isn't a lot. I mean, the Cubs might do it. The Red Sox would still probably do it, with the right deal for Triston Casas, because I think they're going to try and sign Alex Bregman. But it's all kind of timing on when it happens. But it is one less team that maybe, or one less trade partner that they don't have anymore, and that's difficult. It's weird though, because I don't think I don't think it's posturing. I don't think they really want to trade Castillo. And sometimes that's when you get the best deals, is when you really don't want to trade a player because you just ask for the absurd. And at some point, somebody gets panicked enough to give you the absurd. The Yankees, the Cubs, the Dodgers, the Giants, and the Red Sox, teams with a lot of money, still need help. And so it still could be out there. And I think once Roki Sasaki signs on sometime after January 15th, that demand could go up again, because teams will be looking around. Well, we didn't get him. We still need a pitcher. Let's go to Seattle again.
Well, let's walk through that. If they didn't, and I'm not saying I don't believe you or believe them that they don't want to trade Castillo, but if they don't want to trade Castillo, would open up the door to trade one of the younger guys because they've been very upfront with you guys and the rest of the world that they want Roki Sasaki.
No, they really don't want to trade any of the young guys. If they got Sasaki, then they would shop Castillo and then try and run it with the young guys. And I think they'd run like what they call like a modified 6-man rotation if they got to Sasaki to protect him because he's pitched every 6th day in Japan. And they could do Emerson Hancock or one of the other younger prospects to do it that way if they move Castillo. And that would be the impetus where they really push hard to move Castillo's if they got Roki Sasaki. The problem is in that too, though, is like you're doing that so late in the market. And you'll free up $22 million a year for this year and the next few years. There might not be much out there to go get, then you're looking at, just like when they signed AJ Pollock late that year, they had a little bit more money, left over than they thought. So they went out and got Pollock because there wasn't a whole lot out there. I don't think the market will close up that fast. And what they could do is like, if they have money, like if they were to trade Castillo or whatever, the money they free up allows them to trade for a player like Nico Horner, who has, who's owed some money. And that's how they would make it work. Because right now, like, they have roughly $15 to $17 million to spend somewhere in that area. And they have needs at 3 positions. So I just don't know how you do that. I mean, like they essentially I don't see them going out and spending any money on an established reliever of any sort. They're just going to try and build one through waiver claims and stuff like that, like they've done in the past.
Okay, Castillo. I lost my train of thought, which is a shocker. Castillo, do we know, is he willing to waive it? Do we have any idea if he's willing to waive the no trade clause?
Yeah, I think so. I think he would for the right team. You could probably rule, the Yankees spent on Fried, but you probably rule out the Yankees because he'd have to cut his dreads, and there's no way he's cutting his dreads. So
what about the Dodgers?
I think every player wants to go to the Dodgers because they can win a ring. He'd waive it for that. And, if you really, sometimes if a team really wants it, they just pay him $1 million to waive the trade clause, no trade clause. That's what happened with Gene Segura when they traded him. He had a no trade clause. You just buy it out, have them pay for it, and that's how you do it.
All right, I want to go back. You, me, and Jude. I was pestering you guys the other day about this, and you mentioned it earlier. Just speaking of the Red Sox, I'm a village idiot. So before you just slam me, just understand that I'm a village idiot. The Triston Casas, I don't quite understand it. Not that the Mariners pursuing him. I don't understand why the Red Sox would want to move on from him. I understand that they want to get Bregman and then they move Devers and all that. This guy is a young left-hand hitting first baseman who has shown power in that park too. Why are they so open to moving him? Is it just because they need pitching and this is a surplus of pitching with Seattle? Is that why?
I think that's part of it. I mean, I'm sure people I talk to the Red Sox, they're fine if they don't trade him, but they know that that's a value piece because a lot of the teams they're talking to about starting pitching other than the White Sox want major league returns. So the Red Sox look at it as like, well, we can do it that way. If they were to sign Bregman, they could put Bregman at third base, move Rafael Devers over to first base. I don't know that they would do it right away. Bregman said he would play second base if that was the case, but they would do it that way. They just kind of maneuver. And I think also you look at it, there are first basemen on the free agent market, and Boston has money to spend, so they could spend on a free agent bat. Move Casas, get your pitchers, sign a third baseman as well or whatever, or a second baseman, and do it that way. They have a couple. They didn't trade their best prospect, Marcelo Meyer, in that deal with Crochet. I think Kyle Teal, the catcher, was like their third best prospect. So they have some ways of doing it. Like I said, I don't think they really want to trade Casas, but at the same time, there's a reason also why he's available. He's only got a few years left of club control. And there have been a lot of kind of soft. He just hasn't played in a lot of games because of injuries, and some of them are fluky, but like this rib cartilage thing that he tore the cartilage in his ribs, kept him out for a long time, and it kind of sapped his numbers. And some people think that because of the big body, he's huge. He's a huge dude.
Yeah.
But he's want to be one of those guys that has a lot of soft tissue injuries and is going to, be on and off the IL.
When you saw yesterday, I don't know if you think it's a fit or not. When I looked at what the Rangers gave up for Jake Berger, I thought, well, that didn't seem like much. Would Jake Berger have been a fit for Seattle? I mean, he can play two positions in which they need to fill.
I don't think he can really play either position. He can stand over there.
Okay, fair point. He's a warm body at both.
Jake Berger's body is fitting of his name.
Yeah, that's why I like him.
I know he's built a lot he's like if you put me and you together into one person.
Okay, all right.
I guess it's like it must be just kind of what the Marlins were looking for in terms of prospects, and I don't know that Berger fits in the sense that like he strikes out a fair amount. There's a lot of all or nothing power, and they really are. It's not like the Jerry kind of thing before about strikeouts. They are trying to get better about at least just putting the ball in play, maybe not necessarily strikeouts, but being more consistent. And I don't know that Berger fit that. I mean, he is a right-handed bat, so he would have worked well in that platoon with Luke Raley. I think the Mariners are kind of really hoping that they can get something done with Carlos Santana in the next week. And then that kind of shores up that spot because Santana is a good defensive player and he is a good leader and a good mentor, and it would be good for Julio and all those things. So I think that's their priority, I think, right now at first base is just to get Santana signed and then go from there. And then the math could change as well if they do something with the double Mitch-Witch and do something there. But it's right. Yeah, I just didn't think – I was surprised that the Marlins – are moved in, but the Marlins barely have a team. Like they don't even have a whole coaching staff yet, So it's sort of weird that they're doing, but they're trying to just clear out everything and start over.
What did you make of DePoto's comments? I mean, I think I know what he's doing, and he's talking about, we've got a lot of people that are calling about our prospects, right? And he mentioned Locklear and he mentioned Young, and he said, I think the quote was, "They're ready to go." And I'm thinking, and the reaction from most fans was, well, if they're fucking ready to go, put them in the lineup. Like, what are we waiting for? I mean, I know what he's doing. He's trying to create the market for these guys, but we've seen Locklear, but Young. I mean, what are we talking about with him? Late this season at all?
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like they may start him at AAA. I was kind of surprised by that because he didn't start all last year at AA. He was moved up,
Mm-hmm.
But it sounds like they may start him and this Ben Williamson kid at AAA and kind of see if they can handle it. I mean, it's a better hitters league. Once you're at AAA, and really with the Mariners, if you're at AA, you have a chance. I think we'll see. I think it'll be very enlightening when, Cole Young is playing a lot this spring to see where he's at and how he handles it. He's pretty young, and I think that would be a huge jump for him. He's very talented, but it would be a pretty huge jump. So, yeah, I think it's, they can sit there and say, we think they're getting close to being ready. But, I mean, ready, it's one thing to debut. It's another thing to be successful. It's like there are a lot of players that are ready to get up there, but can they sustain? Can they stay up there is the idea, is like getting up there and then staying up there. You don't want to do anything detrimental that hurts them, so they're back up and down and their development gets marred. So I think they're saying that, like the combination of, I know I heard you and Jim complaining about the combination of Dylan Moore and Ryan Bliss and all that stuff. I think that's their fallback plan, and I think they realize with what the market is and stuff like that and some of the trade stuff, that maybe have to be a fill-in, at least at second base, until they, figure out what more they can do, whether it's Cole Young being ready by midseason or they go out and get somebody at the deadline if they're still in it,
But you think that opening day and whoever they're playing, they run out there, their second base answer is Moore and Bliss.
Yeah, I don't really I really see another path. I mean, unless they're at third base and they've got Nico Horner or they got some other second baseman instead and they move those guys to third base. But I do see that one of the infield positions will be a platoon of some sort or the utility guys piecing it together until they, come up with a better solution.
What do they do at third, Ryan?
I don't know. That's the thing is they'll have to trade for a guy or there isn't a great third base market unless, like you look at the third baseman on the market and they're not great. But I guess if you could get one of those guys on like a 1 year, $5 million prove it deal, then you go that route. I know that like the Rockies for the first time have like been willing to shop Ryan McMahon and some of those guys, but the Mariners just don't have money. That's the thing. Even the guys you trade, those guys come with salary. So it's, and an established guy is arbitration eligible, so you have to budget that in. So like like I said, if you're working with 15 million, let's say they can get Carlos Santana for 1 year at 5 million or 1 year at 6 million. Okay. So then that leaves you with what? Roughly 10. We'll give him 16 million. Okay. That's roughly 10 million. That doesn't pay Nico Horner's salary. He's making 11.5, and you can go over that. I mean, it's like not a hard number. And maybe if you're giving up somebody to get something, and that's what I think the frustrating part is like, and I said this with Adam, they're building a roster. They're trying to build a roster with such high limitations that it doesn't lead to logical success, because you're just trying to work the fringes and all this stuff so much and hoping for bounce backs and all this other stuff that it sets you up for failure a lot more easily than if you can just go out and buy known commodities that aren't, like you're not like even last year, Mitch Garver was a nice hitter for the Rangers, and he's always been a good hitter when he's healthy, but there were red flags, and he was 34 years old. Yeah. And you were asking him to DH, which is something he never really done, full-time DH, all that kind of stuff. Like, all these different things you're trying to do to operate within the margins, like you're the Tampa Bay Rays, when you don't have to be the Tampa Bay Rays if your ownership just invests a little bit more. And I think that's been the biggest problem.
There's a question from our chat. I'm just curious, Derek. Asked Harry Ford, can he play first or third? Have they ever asked him to do that? I know they put a outfield glove, right, for a couple of games last year.
He played some left field. He just wanted at bats and stuff. Okay. Harry Ford played some third base in high school, but his value is as a catcher. Yeah. Look at the catching market right now, and like what people are paying and what people are trying to get. So it's like I don't really see that that's a way to get it. I think the way to get it is moving a guy and trading Harry Ford and somebody, which they tried to do all last offseason or all last season at the deadline, packaging Harry Ford and another guy to get something more. And I think if he was closer to being big league ready, he would have a little bit higher value. But there's still he's at AA last year. Yeah. He'll go to AAA this year. It's just he hasn't kind of progressed on the timeline that a lot of people thought for being so athletic. But I think there is value now with Harry Ford because he is moving closer, and he's not, and I think that's another thing. He's so athletic, but he hasn't become as high level of a defensive player as a lot of people thought he would be because he's so athletic. So I don't look at him as a guy that's a major league answer. That's the problem. If you look at their top prospect list, they're rated real high, where they have 6 or 7 in the top 100, but Logan Evans and Cole Young are the only ones that you look to right now as guys that would contribute this year in any way.
I might tell you right now, man, I'm not.
I know you're not inspired.
I'm not inspired at all.
I mean,
it makes me so depressed.
I'm not trying to shit on them or like Zapota or anything like that. It's just it's the reality of the situation, And I mean, look, the Roki Sasaki thing. Do I think that I would put how we get the odds of next coach or the odds who's going to sign what? Obviously the Padres and Dodgers should be 2-1 that he does or whatever, but the Mariners should be higher than the Yankees and Red Sox, because I think that given that how this kid has learned how to pitch and everything else and all this stuff, the Mariners can make a legitimate and viable pitch to him about coming to the place with the best rotation, and also how they handle their pitching staff and how they try and keep them healthy and all the new wave stuff that they do to help a person have success. The small market stuff and everything like that just keeps everybody in, but everybody should be in because it's minimal money to invest in. So, I like that small market thing. Everybody latched. I heard Joel Wolf say that. I was in that scrum. I made Adam do the story and go up to the very middle of that huge pile of people, and then
it was a big pile, man.
Yeah, he got people leaning on him and stuff, and and like his hair
Well,
was getting messed up and everything like that. So, but I'm listening. I heard Joel Wolf say that about, oh, he might like the small market more because the Japanese media has been so hard on him. He's under such a microscope. I mean, yeah, that's nice. But Ohtani said the same thing when he came over the first time, that he wasn't comfortable in huge markets. And he went to the Angels, who are not like the hugest, the team. The thing is, the Sasaki is going to have, wherever he goes, there's going to be 50 or 60 Japanese reporters following him. So it doesn't matter in that regard. It matters. I mean, it's his fit. Like, where is he the most comfortable?
Yeah. Because you and I were both around when Ichiro was here.
Yeah.
I mean, it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
How many reporters and media followed him on a daily basis?
I mean, hell,
I've never seen anything like it.
Kikuchi had like 12 reporters following him at all times. This is Kikuchi. This is Roki Sasaki, who's been a phenom since he's 15 years old. Like, they're going to have a small army following him. So, I just think like if the Mariners, the pitch that they have is about the pitching aspect and the path to success. And maybe if you're Sasaki, you look at it this way, is like, I got to go there and do whatever, how many years he has. And then all of a sudden, boom, but they'll help me get better so that I can get the contract I really want.
Right.
You know, do they develop me the best? Because, like, you know, it's nice about the Dodgers, they go there, but like how many of their starting pitchers are hurt? You know, like I don't know. It's just a weird deal. So I would still say the Padres are probably the favorite.
But he said, was it him or people that have speculated that he doesn't want to go play somewhere where there's, quote, this Japanese mentor?
Well, I think that, so it's like the Kohai Senpai thing, you know, if you've ever watched the movie Rising Sun with Sean Connery, one of the better movies ever.
Yeah, great.
But like the way he said it was, it wasn't needed. It wasn't that he didn't want it, but like they felt like, you know, with Darvish or Yamamoto or these guys at these other places that would, you know, be big for him. But like, this guy's been a rock star essentially, like I said, since he was in high school.
Yeah.
And you're throwing 100 at 17 years old. And so I think he doesn't need that. So I don't think like the Ichiro thing hurts them, but it's going to be also about the presentations. He's actually it sounds like he's going to go visit some of the cities. So they'll the way it sounds is like everybody's going to submit presentations, PDFs, and, you know, I think the Mariners, like I said, they have a video. I'm sure
Ichiro's going to be a part of it, right?
Yeah, I'm sure. And I think Asashi Iwakuma still works for the organization, you know, and so I think Kaz Sasaki's still around. So you could, you know,
I can't hear Iwakuma and not think of what's his name, the former president.
Oh yeah, I know.
The drinker on the Zoom call. What's the guy's name? Why am I
Kevin Mather.
And this Iwakuma guy, he wants us to pay for his interpreter.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like, I'm sure it'll be slick. I believe, I'm pretty certain, like when they did the Ohtani video that they put together for Ohtani, they used the production crew that did their commercials. Remember how smart they were and how put together they were. So it's like, and if you've been to a Mariners game, like their pre-production stuff, like the stuff they run on the board,
they'll nail that.
They're good at marketing themselves. Yeah. And then the one thing though was like, we're sitting there listening, and I was with me and Adam, and then this Jordan Schusterman from Sester's Family Barbecue. And Joel Wolf goes, you know, Roki's very reserved, and in some of the meetings, he had some issues with people talking too much and coming at him too much. And Adam's just like, well, that might be a problem for Jerry then. So
don't let Jerry be a part of the meeting.
Well, but yeah, I mean, they have a viable chance, Puckett. I mean, it's a puncher's chance. I think it's better that, you know, and a lot of people believe they finished second for Ohtani, that they were the next team. But, you know, that changes the game. Like if they get him, they can do a whole different level of things, because again, then he's making the same amount as Brian Wu and Bryce Miller. You know, it's like
stupid.
Yeah, and so that it would just be a game changer. And then that's where they could trade Castillo because then teams that are vying for Sasaki might all of a sudden need a starting pitcher. And we, as you well know too, like so much will change in the next month or two, or the next few weeks. I mean, we see these trades now, and once these other pitchers start to sign and stuff like that, you know, once Corbin Burns signs, all of a sudden, like if the Orioles don't have a guy, if they don't get a starting pitcher or two, they're going to have to start looking around and say, do we trade Jordan Westbrook? Do we trade Heston Kjerstad? Do we have to trade some of these guys because we don't have any pitching? And you have this huge lineup. You just spent the money on Tyler O'Neill, and then you got to go out and get some pitching. So maybe I do think being patient and not jumping at the first offer they receive, if they are doing that, would be ideal. And I know, like, they sit there and say we're not shopping. They'll listen to any deal. And then go into it like the Cubs call and say, look, we'll package Nico Horner, but we really want something with Bryce Miller instead. The Mariners will say, okay, we'll listen, but here's what we're thinking on this, because we're going to want the moon, controllable starting pitching that's young and that's good. Mm-hmm. It's be interesting. And then, honestly, if we were doing this one, would you trade Randy Arozarena and a prospect for Kyle Tucker?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. We only get Tucker for 1 year.
But I was just going to say yes, but then I'm.
But you only have Randy for 2,
but then I'm seeing reports that have $400 million, and then I'm like,
well, you'll never be able to re-sign him to an extension, but you get him for 1 year.
What kind of prospect am I talking about here?
Las Montez, the next Alvarez.
Everybody loves this guy, right? I saw him play actually.
Baby Jordan.
Yeah.
So you send Las Montez and Randy.
Fuck it, why not? Yeah, I'm tired of prospects. I know what Kyle Tucker can do.
1 year of Kyle Tucker
with that bat. Yes.
I mean, how many bombs has he hit in T-Mobile, or just missiles to right field?
He likes hitting there. Yeah, sure. And yeah.
I don't know that the Mariners would do that, but but essentially they only have Randy for this year and next year.
Yeah.
And I think we all believe that, say something were to go drastically wrong and they were bad at the deadline, that they would move Randy.
Yeah.
At the deadline, because he has a year left besides this, and so his value is the highest point, and he gets a little more expensive. He'll make 12 this year, I think, whatever. So he could be up to 16 next year. Do we really think they're going to pay Randy Arozarena $16 million next year?
No.
And so that's I mean, again, that's why I said it before, they'll listen to deals on all those guys because they have to be creative in how they do this stuff because it's so finite.
Hey, I love the hypothetical, man.
I
fucking love it. I'm in.
You're my favorite conspiracy theorist. And when I'm watching the draft yesterday, and
which I didn't know, I had zero idea it was some draft lottery. I
had
no idea.
And I didn't even know that they qualified for the lottery. But then they got 0.5, so I'm kind of watching, and I'm like,
yeah.
And I'm looking at what are the Mariners picking, because we're just going to write a note on it. We're just going to put it in our daily thing.
Yeah.
And Adam went to it because it's in the hotel. I was watching it so I could post it. And then I start going, and then all of a sudden they're at 3. Well, didn't the Mariners just agree to join Rob Manfred's consortium of teams to go under the MLB production umbrella?
Is that Yeah, that's right. That's out there now, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're going to join the MLB production umbrella and join that little consortium of teams that are starting to band together.
Give us the 3rd pick.
Yeah, a little handshake. Hey, John, you want to join this? This is tinfoil hat, or
I'm in.
We're down here in Texas. It's like cut up an armadillo and put the shell on top of your head.
I believe it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the conspiracy theory and all of that.
Hey, with under that agreement, do you know? Does that so MLB runs the whole thing for Root Sports, right?
Yeah, they run the production from back east, I think.
So that means there's no more Root Sports camera people. I mean, they hire those people to run the cameras. So, but what does that do to the pre and post game show? They just don't have it.
I think they have a smaller one, but I mean, yeah, that's the thing. And I know Adam had some people from, and I did too, because we had double bylines on that. Adam got some grief, and I did too, about the line business as usual in that story about Root. But the thing is we were trying to talk about people being able to watch it, because the flagship station they aggregated Evan Drellick's story and said, hey, the Mariners broadcast situation is changing. No, it's not. It's not changing. How it's because then I start getting emails from Mabel and Yakima. I'm wondering if she's going to be able to watch the Mariners on.
For those who don't, it's not changing.
No,
you still watch it on Root Sports. It's just not going to be produced by Root Sports anymore. It'll be produced by Major League Baseball. It's under their umbrella.
Yeah.
How does it change? I don't know. I just don't think probably won't have you're not going to have a half an hour pregame show anymore. You're not going to have a half an hour postgame show anymore. And I'll be honest, I don't know I don't know who's under full contract over there.
No, and that's the thing. So I do think like, and from what I've been told, John Stanton hasn't notified anybody really what's going on or gone and met with them. And maybe
I know that to be a case. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe he will in the next week or two. But like a lot of people, I've got, I know a lot of people at Root Sports, and I get a lot of text messages. Have you heard anything? Have you heard anything? Because they're always like, you and Adam seem to hear from them more than we do.
That's not the way you should do business, man. That's just not the way you should treat people.
And I think a lot of stuff was still up in the air until that last owners meeting where we saw Evan's report and everything else. I think they're still trying to hammer it out because the one thing is like Root's streaming product for local people is not great either. It's hard to get. You have to have a subscription and they're hammering it out. I don't think the Mariners can like just absolve Root Sports because they have contracts with all these providers out there.
Right. And then the other thing for people to know, if Major League Baseball takes it over, you're not going to get the MLB TV. That you're not going to be able to stream it. That's not part of it. It's as you said, it's business as usual of how you consume it for at least another year, and then maybe it changes.
But I do know that like some of the production staff that they have over there are pretty much trying to find new jobs. Now, like I said, MLB will, because you have to have people on the ground to do it,
right.
But they'll get hired back as contractors per se. I don't think they'll get hired as, and then you're, like in the grown-up world we live in, benefits, health insurance, all that stuff matters.
Of course.
And I don't like. I mean, what am I going to do with Kruger's keys to the game if they don't have that before every game?
I like Kruger's keys.
I know, but Bartles and James get up there.
Bartles and James. I mean, I like it all. I want it all back.
But
I want Angie taking grounders at second.
And that's been really, I mean, if you look at the content of the pregame show, it's been really reduced. They weren't investing money into it. And how do you attract sponsors to it when it's a non-fluid situation and you're not investing in time and effort into it?
And then what is spring training going to be like? Is it going to be like the game changer thing they did last year again?
From what I've been told, and this isn't like, they are going to try and run with that as much as possible so they can get every home game. Because my guess is they'll have 7 or 8 games en route. It's usually the night games they'll have or whatever, or they'll pick up the feed. Sometimes they can simulcast the feed from like the Dodgers broadcast or whatever. So they could do that. But they debuted that thing, the cameras last year, and I've been told they're putting in cameras and they're, they can hire some cameramen. It's just, it was figuring out how to produce the game and like, all the stuff they do. I'll be really interested too, because like, we with the MLB producing it, do they get to have all their in-house ads and stuff? Rick Griffin talking about prostate cancer, the doctors from Fred Hutch, Piper out at the pen trying different things, Jen, promoting their
the cooking class, the cooking show.
No, Jen on the concourse promoting the Mariners Cares auctions and stuff like that. Gotcha. I mean, like you go back and you watch a Mariners game, there's a lot of in-house advertising for their products. And so I don't know that under MLB that they'll be able to do that. They have that freedom. So I'm really interested to see how this works. We haven't obviously got a lot of details. Obviously the people at Root haven't got a lot of details. So I think in the coming months or weeks, we'll have an idea. I mean, we don't even know who's gonna, what they're gonna do with the broadcast situation. I talked to my buddy Mike Farron, and he's just like, why have they not promoted Gary yet? Why have they not just announced it? Promoted Gary?
Oh, on the radio side.
Yeah, and then like, why have they not promoted that? And because I think we all know that Goldie's going to be full time, and I do say this:
full time TV.
Yeah, I think so. I can't imagine he'll do radio. He wants to do the TV side.
Okay.
I can't imagine Angie won't be a part of it because she's under contract with Root, and because I thought she did a heck of a job last year.
She's good. She's really good.
I know a lot of guys don't. There's the guys.
Well, there's a sexism element to it, Ryan. They don't want to hear a woman tell them about sports. I mean, there's that element of it.
She is more prepared than anybody. I mean, like,
great.
It's not like me walking in there. I don't know. You know,
I've talked to her plenty of times. She knows baseball as good as anybody out there.
Anytime she was on the broadcast, she's in there talking to players, talking to coaches. She goes over to the other clubhouse. Meanwhile, like me and Jude are like playing with Tucker. You know, like that. It's like
or sitting in DeWitt's room.
Yeah, sitting in DeWitt's room, and so it's like no, I don't know. We haven't heard any of that. There's and people really care about that stuff. You know, it's like
it's part of they're in their house, they're in their living rooms every night.
I would love for Gary to get promoted to radio, and then they tell Curto, hey, when these guys go on breaks for vacations and stuff in season, you're the guy we call up on a part-time, because Curto, I don't think Curto would do it. Like, it's a major league job. He never, he's filled in a couple of times. If they offered him a major league job, he would do it. But Riz isn't getting any younger. That's for certain. So it's like they're going to have to start making these decisions. But I think they don't really know how their product's going to be put out there either. So it's a really interesting deal. What else you got?
That's it. How many more days are we there?
I'm flying out tomorrow morning. Most everybody, like the meeting's technically in kind of tonight.
Okay.
And like everybody leaves after the Rule 5 draft or whatever. But because I live in southeast or south central Canada, I can't get a flight out tonight, and then I'd have to either stay at an airport hotel there or whatever, and then fly back to Montana tomorrow. So I'm just going to do it all in one shot. I mean, I took a red eye here this time, so I was living.
I don't know how you do it. I really don't know how you do it. Okay, I got one more before you go. You can only have one. Okay. The wife in Landman or the daughter?
Oh my God.
I think it's a pretty simple answer.
The daughter is that's just creepy. The daughter, that would be just creepy.
Well, she's in college.
Like when I watched that show with my
mom, the correct answer is the wife, the mom.
Yeah. But that's a lot of crazy.
Oh, that's a lot of. Are you all caught up?
Yeah, I am.
The dinner scene was great.
Yeah, I like watching that show with my girlfriend and her daughter there. And they have those scenes. I feel like the Nate guy that doesn't like any of that and just is uncomfortable. I feel uncomfortable.
That just pounds the drink.
Yeah, because I got the lawyer guy, Like I got my
Nate. I love Nate. Oh yeah, you're talking about Nate the lawyer. Yeah.
I got my girlfriend sitting next to me, so you don't want to stare too hard at Allie Larder. Like, get into it. Or the daughter, which is just creepy.
Yeah,
so
Nate plays that great, man. It's a great. Anytime the daughter comes in, what the hell's the daughter's name? Why am I blank on her name?
Ainsley, I think.
Ainsley, yeah.
Yeah, like
God, I love Billy Bob. He's so fucking good in it.
Like his
just so good.
I love because about every third show, Taylor Sheridan writes up this rant. So like Billy Bob's rant about wind and solar was great.
Yeah, that was a great one. Yeah, and I'm thinking to myself, God, that makes a lot of sense. I shouldn't be getting solar.
Yeah, as you drive your Prius around, and then John Hamm's.
Oh, the last one.
Yeah, where he just goes off and it is true in a lot of ways. You're like, oh my God, this is great. So I love that because I like the writing and how you craft that. It's a lot he writes like in a pattern, kind of like Sorkin would write West Wing and stuff, the way the characters talk.
Right.
So my girlfriend called me. She's like, have you watched the latest episode of Landman yet? Because I was on the road. I go, no. She goes, it gets really dark at the end. I didn't like it. And I was like, oh God, so I watched it on the plane. Yeah. I watched it on the plane, and there's a guy sitting next to me in a couple of scenes. He's like looking at me like, what the fuck are you watching?
Yeah, it gets a little dark. I just love that he pounds Mick Ultra and just doesn't think it's alcohol.
I mean, like that kid that plays his son really could be his son because there's a lot of similarities in their looks and everything.
Right.
Yeah, pounds Mick Ultra because it's non-alcoholic. Honey, I'm an alcoholic. You want to give me wine? And she goes, well, you're drinking a beer. He goes, there's no beer in this. There's no alcohol in this.
So good.
If your Mick Ultra is like, is that your new marketing campaign, Mick Ultra? We don't have that
should alcohol. Be. I would be. I'd lean right into it.
You know how bad of a headache I would have if I consumed that many Mick Ultras in one day?
Oh.
Like I will tell you this though.
I don't think I've ever had one.
Theo Epstein, Miller Lite drinker. Huh? He was at the bar the other night.
Love it.
Yeah, Eric Davis, Miller Lite.
Love Miller Lite.
Eric Davis, the former Red, who's still like the coolest dude I've ever seen.
Miller Lite's a great choice. Yeah. If you want to go light, a little less calories, Miller Lite's.
I mean, it's the best domestic golf beer.
100%.
The best craft golf beer I've ever had is the Bale Breaker.
The Bale
Pilsner.
Breaker Pilsner. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the best.
I love a good Pacifico though. Playing golf too.
Well, the
can, not the bottle.
What is the Oakmont or whatever in Lakewood? They have the Japanese beers and the big ones, and they're the same price, like Sapporos and Kirin's. So when me and Nikita play there, we get back to our roots and drink some Japanese beers.
Get back to your roots. All right. Well, you get back home safely. The Ryan Divish Show, brought to you by Chalet Bowl, Washington's oldest operating bowling alley. Been serving the community for the past 40 years. Visit them at chaletbowl.com. Ryan Divish every single Wednesday with us talking Mariners baseball, the cold stove. All right. Safe travels home. We'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good.
There he is, Ryan Divish. In case you missed it, came in late. Full episode up on YouTube. God, we went long today. Full episode on YouTube. Go subscribe there to the YouTube channel, Puck Sports. Also follow on the podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, wherever you find your podcasts. And, of course, up at pucksports.com.